Good morning. I'm Bill Hunt, Director of St. Mary's County Department of Land Use and Growth Management. Here today with me are Courtney Jenkins, Deputy Director, and Brandy Glenn, Planner 4 and Manager of the Development Services Division. Buffy Giddens, Deputy County Attorney, is also present. Today is January the 11th, 2023. It is about 10:02 a.m. Meeting is being held in the Chesapeake Building, 41770 Baldrige Street, Leonardtown, Maryland. The hearing is being televised on Channel 95 and the St. Mary's County YouTube channel. Amy Carter, video media producer, is operating the broadcast. The case is an administrative hearing for forest conservation administrative variance pursuant to the St. Mary's County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, Section 22.5.5, Forest Conservation Administrative Variance. The property owner and applicant is Myrtle Point Woods, LLC. Representatives for the case are Attorney Chris Longmore, Barry Vugmer, the surveyor, and via Zoom, Pat Mudd, the engineer. The request is to remove 2 specimen chestnut oak trees in the woods at Myrtle Point, Section 2. The review of specimen trees report on the trees was prepared by Karen J. Gailey, a registered professional forester. The report is dated October 28, 2022. One of the chestnut oaks has a diameter of 35 inches at 4.5 feet above ground surface, and the other has a diameter of 50 inches at 4.5 feet above ground surface. Both trees are in fair condition according to Ms. Gailey's report. An administrative variance is required in the St. Mary's County, Maryland Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 75.8.2.B 6A, to remove a tree with a diameter of 30 inches or more at a distance of 4.5 feet above ground surface. Trees meeting this size are termed specimen trees. As part of the application for an administrative variance to remove a specimen tree, the applicant must demonstrate that reasonable efforts have been made to protect the specimen tree and the plan cannot reasonably be altered. An administrative variance can only be granted upon findings that, due to special features of a site or other circumstances, retaining the trees would be an unwarranted hardship, and the granting of the administrative variance will not affect water quality. Mr. Vugmer is going to present the case.
Good morning, Bill. So Loiterman had actually done a four-stand delineation on this property, and it was discovered that we had to do a new FSD because the time had expired on that. They had shown 3 specimen trees, one that was in the state highway right-of-way and 2 that were in the wetlands in the bottom. It was discovered when we did the new FSD that they were actually shown incorrectly on the Loiterman FSD. When we found that out, they are within the limit of disturbance near the parking area. One's near a parking area and one's near a building. Unfortunately, they just can't be saved. Per Karen's letter, she would agree with that. I think you saw that. So we have requested to have those removed. There's also a standards letter in the file that Chris Longmore's office prepared. So.
Mr. Mudd, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Bill.
Good morning. One of the requirements for this kind of a request is that there had to be an effort to save the trees during the preparation of the plan. Ms. Glenn has sheet 2 of the FSD plan up that we can see. I don't know if you can see it where you are or not.
Yes, on the screen.
Okay. So can or could the plan have been altered? For instance, could the stockpile location and what appears to be a parking area the stockpile is placed on, as shown on sheet 2 that's being projected, be moved to allow the buildings to be shifted to the north, I call it the north, the top of the plan, and away from the trees?
The problem is in that area is a drainage swale that takes water that crosses under Patuxent Boulevard and runs down through the middle of the site. We're trying to minimize the overall disturbance on the property. We have wetlands in that lowland area. We've had to expand the wetlands buffer to 100 feet. So moving the buildings to the north and the parking lots to the north would impact that wetlands buffer.
Are the buildings in the stockpile and the parking area currently out of the wetlands buffer?
Currently, they are out of the wetlands buffer, yes.
So how would shifting the location of the buildings away from the trees by changing the location of the stockpile location impact that buffer you're trying to avoid?
Well, the stockpile area is actually a parking area, and it'll be a stockpile area during construction, but it's going to be a parking area once the site is stabilized. So you would have to move the two parking lots on both sides of the building in tandem with the building, and the specimen tree that's adjacent to the building is right at the I guess the western edge of the building. So you'd have to move the building a significant amount to get away from that tree. We also have, front buffer yard off of Patuxent Boulevard. We have a buffer yard off of Route 5, or Route 4. So it's a tight squeeze to get everything in here. And again, like I said, we're trying to minimize the overall disturbance on the property.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Buckmer, were you going to read anything from Ms. Gailey's report regarding her findings?
I believe it's part of the record, but I certainly can.
In particular, if I could just call your attention to, the pages aren't numbered, but she has a conclusion section, which is approximately 2, page 3.
Sure, for specimen tree 4S.
And then if you could just skip down to number 5, where I think she summarizes.
Okay, certainly. So Karen says the major problem with both trees is the location. If saved, the tree will be located right next to the buildings. Construction activities, the buildings, parking lots, traffic, and pedestrian traffic will all be in the critical root zone. Due to soil compaction, loss of oxygen, water, and nutrients, destruction of the feeder roots and lateral roots, these trees will most likely die. The specimen tree will be taken from a protected environment surrounded by other trees which protect it from high winds, storm damage, overexposure of sun and cold, to an open environment where the tree will stand alone. This will increase the tree's vulnerability to damage from high wind and storms. Blown down, splitting, and falling limbs and branches are highly possible. Although the tree health is fair and considering all the factors mentioned above, removal is recommended for both trees.
Thank you very much. Now, there are 2 standards that have to be addressed for this. Mr. Longmore did that in his letter. Can you summarize how those standards are being met in this case?
I actually don't have a copy of that letter.
Yeah.
Chris, can you? So are you talking about 3A and B, Mr. Hunt?
The one that, owing to special features of a site or other circumstances?
Yep, so 3A.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the screen now.
So if the warranted variance is not granted, this would result in an unwarranted hardship as the development would be severely impaired. The subject trees are in fair health and have been recommended for removal as previously stated. The removal of these trees will not impact water quality. Any development will be approved by all required environmental agencies as part of the site plan and subdivision process. Water quality for the site is being treated in the microbiome facilities.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to add, you or Mr. Mudd or Mr. Longmore?
No, sir, not me.
Ms. Giddens, do you have anything that needs to be added from the county attorney's perspective? Therefore, I'm granting the requested administrative variance to remove the 2 specimen trees that are the subject of the request. The decision is based on the review of specimen trees report by Karen J. Gailey, registered professional forester, dated October 28, 2022, and today's testimony by Mr. Mudd, the engineer, and Mr. Vuckmer, the surveyor. With that, I conclude this hearing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.